Hello there, my name is Jack Hammond, and I'm here to make a status report for week 4 of the senior project. So project title is Quick Budget Builder. Like I said, I'm Jack Hammond, and I do have a GitHub link now, although it's currently empty. I'll post that link with the submission once I have the stuff in there. All right, and then for the status report for this week. Okay, overall status, I am behind. Full honesty, I did get pretty busy last week, so I didn't do very much. So I did a little bit extra this week, but I'm still a little bit behind. Estimate about 10 hours or so, maybe a little bit more, but I'll call it 10 hours. And then, so total hours, 23 hours to date, and 103 hours away. So this week, lot of research. I've done stuff with C Sharp, but just pure C Sharp. So learning all about ASP.NET, learning how to handle APIs and everything. That's all new to me. And especially the biggest thing was learning how to, pass data in between a front end to a back end to a database. I've done all three of those individually, but never worked with them together. And it's been a little bit, so doing refreshers on those as well. Next week's goal, so let me make sure that's tabbed over, is to continue research and to start building prototypes. I'm excited to start actually putting something down. And then also in the accomplishments, did do the initial project requirements. I submitted that as well. All right, so questions and blockers. So challenge I had was that I had this week and that I'm worried about is focusing on just one thing. I feel like every time I start, okay, let me do some stuff with React, I'm constantly thinking about how that's going to affect, the back end side, or not the database as much if I'm doing front end, but when I'm doing the back end side, I'm constantly thinking about, what will I do with the database? What will I do with the front end? And so just trying to juggle it. It's a little bit challenging, but I find just ignore the other stuff, focus on getting something working, and then making tweaks is how I think I should be able to handle that. Questions for you, Brother Curl, is so when to start building, or I guess more when we start building, how do you handle perfectionism, I should say, like wanting to make it right from the start versus, okay, let me just get something done even though if I'm going to have to scrap it all later. Let me rephrase that question. But yeah, that's something I'm a little worried about. And then demo, this hopefully should be the last week that I don't have any actual code up. But I did make a little diagram that helped me kind of keep track of how my whole program is going to work. So going through real quick, the user will enter data that will be in the term of like income or rent, zip code, lifestyle, any of that data. The React front end will collect that data and send it to the back end as a JSON using fetch. Then the back end is going to go ahead and receive that request and then validate the data and perform budget calculations. At the same time, it's going to store and return any necessary data. They'll be back and forth with the database. And that'll be more for long-term data storage instead of just temporary dealing it with right there and then. And then after it's done, it's all calculations and interacted with the database. We're going to want to we're going to use that API to send the calculated results back to the front end as a JSON file. And then the React front end will deal with going and displaying all of those, budget ranges. Might be a pie graph or something eventually. It'll probably just be, just numbers in little boxes. But yeah, so that is kind of how all the data will interact. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.